Alright, so let's say you're Goliath and you're in the Monster Hunter world, right? But you feeling a little bit hungry and everything. So you start looking around and then you find a restaurant run by the greatest chef of all time, Chef Yamugi. Albeit, our hunter might be the greatest chef of all time, I'm just saying. But you're looking at her like, nah, I don't want no dandos or nothing. No tofu, no none of that. I need some real food. She's like, okay. Well, here, I got a menu for you. We have all the monsters you need. But considering you seem like a simple, but yet very hungry beast, I'm going to give you 10. The top 10 monsters that we eat, or that you could eat. The most delicious monsters of all time. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to include certain monsters on this list because they would be way too easy, and the fact that they are eaten. The Piscine Wyverns are taken off this list immediately because they are known to be eaten very commonly amongst villagers and restaurants. Global will also be off this list as well. He's a delicacy actually, and is a very delicious monster in my opinion. And then Jade Barrow, surprisingly, will also be off this list. Yeah, we actually eat him. So he's actually considered a delicacy in most regions as well. So 10 monsters that you, as a Goliath, would find very, very tasty. Let's begin.
At number 10, y'all already know I had to put Bombbro on this list. That's deer meat automatically. Now, the thing about this is, I think I discussed it with some of y'all in the comment section because I said that Bombbro may just have like a very extensive diet because he is a brute wyvern. And believe it or not, I also said he's probably one of the healthiest or probably one of the best wyverns, or brute wyverns I should say, to actually eat. Now again, you might say, legendary, why is that? Well, for starters, he do look kind of tasty in my opinion. And so I kind of understand why Fulgur and Jannath does follow the herds of Bombbro. I would eat Bombbro too if I was also Fulgur and Jannath. And apparently, Barioth can't handle the fully grown ones. That's actually interesting. So this means like fully grown Bombbros are like apex level. So yeah, so this means they're actually quite formidable. But the thing is though, Bombbro's diet is very flexible. Probably because he still has the more carnivorous enzymes in his stomach that allow him to process things like rotten meat and bones. But actually, this makes him a lot more nutritional in value, at least in terms of Monster Hunter standards, right? So let's run the environment, right? What do these environments provide for Bombbro to eat? Well, for starters, Ancient Forest provides bark, some grubs in the bark as well, considering Bombbro should have that kind of diet. There also are fruits, various forms of vegetation as well, and some mushrooms. So basically, Bombbro gets a very fleshed out diet of a herbivorous diet, I should say, in the Ancient Forest. Now, we know how fruits do vary in terms of calories, proteins, and obviously health value. But again, if we do know Monster Hunter and the materials that we get, we know that we do have things like fruit, various forms of apples, oranges, even like supersized mangoes and stuff like that. So believe it or not, Bombbro is actually getting a hefty good amount of its diet in there, and even from some of the bones on the ground as well, Bombbro should be able to eat. The Wildspire Waste is also no different. Cactuses, various dead ferns and stuff like that, and maybe some water plants as well. I could also say the same thing for the Ancient Forest, because, there should be some plants growing underwater. But again, with the Wildspire Waste, most of the plants are more connected to the water systems here than anything. And so we do see Bombbro kind of lumbering around that area. So Bombbro should be able to also get an extensive diet of carrion here as well, considering the fact that desert environments are one of the few places predators would likely go to scavenge, and this is also part of Bazagoose's ecology. Now, the Coral Highlands. This area right here probably provides the most nutritious for a lot of herbivores, or at least a lot of the herbivorous creatures that could even come to this region entirely. You see, coral, believe it or not, and I just found this out, when I was making this video, is actually rich in nutrition, breaking down the dead composition of various animals or at least or at least absorbing some of the nutrients from dead animals and stuff like that, and then passing them on to the environment. So with the coral highlands actually being connected to the rotten veil, this means they're actually taking a lot of the nutrition from those corpses as well and transferring them up to, well, themselves. So this does mean that the rotten veil and the coral highlands probably have a much more extensive connection to their ecosystem than we, well, realize. And I guess it does make sense because it's hitting how I just explained it. But again, keep in mind, this is usually because it's an underwater environment, and the coral highlands isn't that. This also means that Bombbro would likely get a lot more protein, if not a lot more calories, from the coral than any other plant-based materials from the other two environments. And then there's the rotten veil. I mean, it's kind of obvious what's down here. The carrion and the bones, especially with bone marrow actually being pretty good to eat for a, dietary need. And Bombbro is just eating that. Now, one of the few things I do remember being like very shocked and confused was just Bombbro being there. But then after realizing that, wait, he is a brute wyvern still, so it's very possible he still has carnivory behavior. Then I also had to remember, well, some cows will eat snakes, some deers will eat birds and stuff like that, even horses as well. So in all honesty, I really kind of just had to be like, dang. So maybe not all animals are entirely herbivorous, right? So, believe it or not, I do think that Bombbro would likely be one of the best monsters in the New World to eat. Like, outside of Beotodus and Girotodus and maybe a few other creatures in the New World, I definitely think Bombbro is likely the healthiest to eat. Harvesting its meat and stuff, and it would probably have a lot of protein and calories within it. So believe it or not, I think Bombbro would definitely be the best to eat. And imagine what you can make out of this. Bombbro burgers, Bombbro steak. I mean, that would probably be a pretty massive steak, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, you could probably cook it in so many ways. You could probably fry him, grill him, maybe some rotisserie style, you know what I'm saying? Slow cook some of him over his fire. And, here's the funny fact, and here's the fun fact I found out. The boa, when they hunt Girotodus and butcher them, they actually get him rotisserie style. Absolutely interesting, ain't it? So, Bombbro, believe it or not, would likely taste delicious rotisserie style. Because, I mean, let me get the boa's recipe. Because, I mean, if they chefing up Beotodus, I'm going to chef up Bombbro, if you know what I'm saying. But believe it or not, yeah, Bombbro definitely gets the number 10 spot on this list because I discussed him so many times in the comments. Plus, I mean, look at him. Bro looks like a snack. Number 9, I got the Fang Beasts from the Ape lineage. Nah, see, there was no way they were not going to be on this list. Now, while I may not include bird wyverns because they are kind of obvious. I mean, who would not want to eat a Kulu Yaku or maybe a Malfestio? Yangaruga, I don't know, that one might have like crack in it or something like that, but that's besides the point. We're talking about these apes here. Believe it or not, they actually do look pretty tasty now that I think about it. Garen Gollum looked like he got some extra seasoning on him. I mean, he definitely looked like he eats fungi, so that's obviously a good nutrition. Also, the standard ape diet usually does consist of some fungi, some fruit, various forms of meat like insectoids, and, well, even carrion. So they're pretty healthy when you think about it, especially with Monster Hunter and how their likely dietary needs work. I don't think you've ever seen an unhealthy monster. Like, they all pretty built for their species in general, but some of them likely exceeding, their normal species needs and stuff like that. So believe it or not, I definitely think that, so some of these guys would definitely taste good. Catch a Watcher, in my opinion, definitely looks a little tasty. Would definitely slow cook them over a fire. Maybe add some Montreal seasoning. Not sure if I would add lemon pepper, garlic salt, seasoned salt, or what's the other one I'm thinking about? I know I'm thinking about another one. It's a green one. I'm not sure. Maybe I gotta find it again. You ain't never gonna find those. Maybe some herbal seasoning. I think that was it. I'm not sure though. But Catch a Watcher actually likely has a very great dietary needs, or probably very much better dietary needs than the rest of the Fang Beasts, because this guy will actually inhabit the old nests of Nerscylla, and if any kills are kind of left over there, they'll actually eat them apparently. So it's, you know, not too hard to kind of see why I would want to eat Quechua, but low key, yeah, I think he would actually be pretty good. Roast him up any way you want, and then put on some good seasoning, you got it good. Now, Rajang, this one just feels a little bit personal in my opinion. I'm just saying. You see, Rajang, you kind of had this coming, buddy. Out of all the times you grabbed me and manhandled me, slammed me against the ground, and then breathed your lightning final flash in my face. Yeah, I'm gonna eat you. All of you. Down to the last horn. Everything getting eaten. But on a serious note, Rajang probably has very good electrolytes in the system, if you know what I'm saying. And believe it or not, I actually think because of his muscle density, he probably has a lot more, probably a bit more, I guess you could say, calories in him than maybe Bombbro. I'm saying that as a maybe because I do think Bombbro's the best one on this list. Kongalala has to be on this list. I mean, every creature I've ever done in a survival video literally eats this man. Like, there's no ifs and buts about it. Well, minus his butt. He may not look like he is the most appetizing monster, but we just gonna have to ignore the farts and yeah, jump him and then eat him. And believe it or not, this dude actually has a pretty good diet. Fruits, vegetables, honey, and maybe small invertebrates as well. I mean, we know this guy can be pretty much a glutton, so we're gonna have to kill you, roast you, and just see how exactly you taste like. So no ifs and buts about that. Blangoga, yeah, we're gonna eat him too. Yeah, we're gonna eat him. I don't really see a problem with that at all. I mean, Blangoga is one of the few creatures I actually respect in Monster Hunter, to be honest, because again, he is quite intelligent enough to block the hunter's weapons. But yeah, just because of that, you're gonna have to get eaten, buddy. We can't let that slide. You're gonna see me as a predator, not that kind of predator, but as a predator at the end of the day. So, believe it or not, with that being said here, the Fang Beasts altogether will get eaten. Bishatin especially. Yeah, Bishatin especially. I've seen your diet, buddy. All those fruits and nuts you be eating, no diddy. But yeah, all these Fang Beasts would definitely get eaten because, again, apparently ape meat or monkey meat in general is actually like pretty good in some cultures. I mean, I know some people eat like monkey brains and they say it tastes like cereal, and I'm just thinking like, what? Why would you eat that? But at the end of the day, you know what? People eat what they eat. People eat chimpanzee and stuff like that. Chimpanzees will even eat each other, dear God. But at the end of the day, though, I could definitely do it. Yeah, I'll definitely eat a Fang Beast at the end of the day. There's nothing gonna stop me from eating that. Number 8 is a sheriff spot. We got Cadeus and Nakarkos, 2 elder dragons of the sea. Woof! I don't think it's I really need to explain these two? I mean, one is a whale and one is an octopus. Like, we eat those today. Like, me personally, I do have like a good track record with squids and, you know, octopi. I haven't had like one bad dish with octopus in general. But let's really talk about Cadeus, right? We know Cadeus is literally the champion of the sea, right? So this guy likely does eat the minerals that it does scrape off from its horns and stuff. Likely does eat the other creatures of the ocean, which we do know are like various forms of fish, hammerheads, likely deep sea gulbuls as well, which are supposed to be massive, but probably not as big as an elder dragon, right? And we also know it eats Nakarkos. Now, again, considering the fact that we, again, eat whales in real life, unfortunately, they are beautiful creatures, but food is food. In all honesty, I think one whale could likely feed an entire village, so it's... yeah, it could definitely work. Because, I mean, the amount of monsters we do kill, especially on their massive size, I actually do wonder how many villagers got fed that day. Especially when we kill something like a Dalmador. Like, everybody's eating at that. I swear, a Devil Joe should not go hungry on those kind of days, if you know what I'm saying. But, with that being said here, yeah, Cadeus has no excuse not to be on this list. I'm not sure how I will cook him. Maybe I will probably like marinate him for a little bit. Maybe make some Cadeus stew, you know what I'm saying? Put some honey, some sauces in there. You know, chef up a Cadeus stew, in my opinion. But in all honesty, yeah, there's no way this dude is not going in my belly. All right, he's about to be eaten and served up like a 5-star meal, like I'm on Gordon Ramsay. Okay, matter of fact, I wonder what Gordon Ramsay would actually think of food in the Monster Hunter world. Like, yo, bro would probably die of taste. Like, it would just overwhelm him, you know. But let's move on. Now, Carcos, bro, you just looking tasty already. Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know how I will cook Nakarkos, in my opinion. I really don't. I might just try everything with this guy. No diddy. But to be kind of fair, Nakarkos had it coming. You see, you got a pretty extensive diet, buddy. Let's talk about it. You can eat anything, not only on the sea, but in the air as well, or on land. I mean, the concept art for Nakarkos is him utilizing a ship as camouflage to lure in a curious Rathalos, and then him just attacking it, likely to just drown it and eat it as well. And keep in mind, we know he eats Oregon, which is an ore-based monster, so he's getting the minerals and the meat from Oregon. Brachydios and Glavenus, which also have the same thing, or at least in different ways. And then you have Legiacris. Come on now, that's electrolytes already. Now, again, we know that Nakarkos is also an octopi. So, I'm just saying, I'm gonna definitely look at some other recipes for this guy, because I know one of the few times I actually had octopus was at a Chinese restaurant. God bless them, best chefs ever. Okay, in my opinion, they got the best food. I love Chinese food though. Like, they have my support till the day I die. But with that being said, here I would actually try it with maybe some soy sauce, maybe some dumplings. Maybe I'll wrap it around the garlic dumplings and stuff like that, and maybe have some off to the side with it, as I probably like boil, and then maybe I'll air fry it. That would actually be pretty good, to be honest. And I ain't even gonna lie, I'll probably try it myself. But you know what? Yeah, these two definitely get this spot on this list here. So yeah, I mean, one's a whale, one's an octopus. Various ways I'm definitely going to cook these guys up and definitely feed a whole village with this. But let's move on to the next one.
At number 7, we have Mizutsune. Now, this one is actually, like, pretty interesting in my opinion. Considering how Mizutsune is, like, one of the cleanest monsters, I actually do wonder how they would taste. Like, it's cleaned and likely already processed or likely already antibiotic meat, you know what I mean? Like, he's fresh always. Like, this dude keeps himself clean constantly. Like the bubbles and soap stuff, I mean, sure. Now, Violet Mizutsune and Soul Seer Mizutsune, I wouldn't say I'm entirely too sure. Violet Mizutsune, he might be a little spicy in my opinion. But Soul Seer, I might have too much respect for Soul Seer in order to eat it. Because, I mean, like, you still fighting and still catching bodies while you blind, and all of a sudden you Elder Dragon level 2? Nah, fam, we good. You absolutely deserve the best in life after that. You can have your life. But regular Mizutsunes and stuff like that, I bet you they taste great. Like, nah, I mean, they're like one of the cleanest monsters of all time. All that soap and bubbling, all that cleaning, the way they can even purify some water sources and stuff like that. Nah, I'm telling you, they are getting every form of treatment. I bet you could chef up every angle or every way or every part of a Mizutsune. I don't care. You can eat them, probably slow roast and cook them. You could do whatever you want. Okay? And again, the only reason why Soul Seer is not getting on this list is because of the absolute respect I have for them. I mean, once that happens, it's over. It's a wrap at that point. I mean, I ain't eating no soul seer. But again, the Mizutsune may have some spice to them because of the fire element or fire ailment they're now able to inflict. I do not remember Mizutsune actually being able to do this. But then again, it has been some time since I played Rise, and I know I have to unfortunately restart it because I apparently had to buy the game, but it is what it is. So with that being said here, yeah, Mizutsune definitely takes this spot, and well, because it's one of the cleanest monsters of all time. I mean, I would definitely want to try and eat this. I mean, shoot, maybe all Leviathans kind of deserve to be eaten at this point because they do have some kind of cleanliness to them in general, and they do take care of themselves. But overall, yeah, Mizutsune is probably one of the few Leviathans I would definitely want to know how it would taste as well. So yeah, moving on to the next one. At number 6, I have Zamtrios. Now you might say, wait, no Tetsukabra and Tetranodon as well? Legendary, why not? It's so simple, so easy. Tetsukabra is a frog, so you can easily make Tetsukabra legs out of them. And then you also have the fact that whatchamacallit, Tetranodon's a turtle. That's Tetranodon soup automatically. But Zamtrios is a shark. Plus, I've had shark before. It's actually pretty good. It can actually be tough in certain, ways that they cook it. But again, going to the right people for it, boom, you got it. Tiger Stripe Zamtrios is also no different. He might actually taste a little bit salty because, again, of the desert and how, they could actually be found in some salt caves and stuff like that, or at least they'll go into, like, areas where there are, like, salt and ore-like materials. So they may have already been a little bit seasoned, if you know what I'm saying. But Zamtrios, the way that the cold preserves the body, all right? And the fact that I think Zamtrios might have some gigantothermia when it comes to its Arctic counterpart. But the way the cold will preserve the body, thus preserving the meat. And come on now, this would have been the same situation with Beototis. I mean, living in the Arctic, casually swimming through it, always, I guess you could say in a state of motion or resting in certain areas, burying yourself beneath the snow in order to keep yourself, I guess you could say, somewhat insulated or something like that. Yeah, dude, you're a shark and you're a frog at the same time. You're getting eaten, whether you like it or not, okay? Because here's the thing, right? The way Zamtrioses are, how do you not want to eat them? I mean, they even bloat themselves up. Bro, do you know what we could do with that? Do you know how many things we could carve out of you at that point? And again, it's kind of a shame he never got to make it into Monster Hunter Rise. But yet, at least we know he definitely would be in the environment because of his children. Plus, I mean, you can't have a Zamite and Zamtrio without Zamtrios in general, right? I'm not sure if that was actually, the second stage of his children's name. But yeah, obviously you guys get what I mean. You can't have one without the other, or you can't have one without the complete set. That's not how it works. So believe it or not, I do think that Zamtrios would be quite a desirable food or quite desirable creature to eat, in my opinion. Because again, some of the winter villages eat Jade Baroth and find him to be a delicacy. So I do think that Zamtrios would actually be very good. I mean, imagine what you actually make. Considering we do eat sharks and some people do eat things like shark steak and stuff like that and say it's really good. I mean, I've had, a shark steak myself in back then, and it was absolutely great. So, yeah, Zamtrios, you ain't safe, bro. Sorry, you just ain't safe. But now, on to the next one. At number 5, I got Pocarodon. Yeah, it's a seal. I mean, it's an Arctic seal, And plus, I mean, I would really like to know what this guy tastes like. Now, I know in some places they do eat seals. I know this because, again, it's kind of common, apparently, that some places will actually go out of their way to actually go out and catch and eat some seal. And I never knew this at all because, I thought sea lions or seals were just like You know, they just wouldn't do it because people find them cute and adorable and stuff. But again, I kind of do underestimate humanity's curiosity at times. And well, if we think about it, we're going to be like, you know what? We're going to eat it today. What do you mean we're going to eat it? Yeah, we're just going to eat it. And, you know, I kind of think the same thing applies to Monster Hunter. Well, yeah, we do make armor out of them. We got to think, what do we do with the rest of the monster? We don't just leave it there. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to try to eat Fatalis, right? Guys, none of y'all will try to eat Fatalis, right? Right? But anyway, besides the point, but concerning the fact that Pocaras and Pocarodons, or at least the Poca, are considered prey animals by a large majority, unless a Pocarodon is around, then that becomes a, yeah, you know what? We just gonna leave y'all alone today. So yeah, y'all have a nice life. So yeah, I do think Pocarodon would be good. Not sure how they actually do cook seals anyway in real life, but yeah, I would actually love to know how this guy tastes, and the rest of them as well, considering they are just like any other herbivore we eat. But on to the next one. At number 4, I have Lagombi. Well, believe it or not, it's kind of simple why, right? I mean, it's a giant rabbit. Of course I want to eat it. I never had a rabbit before, by the way. So if anyone in the comment section has, please let me know how it tastes and if it's actually worth me trying. So yeah, just let me know in the comment section down below. And well, Lagombi itself is actually a pretty common animal that will get taken and eaten by other monsters. Kind of obvious considering it is a prey species, or at least a prey herbivore, if you will. But you guys get what I mean. It is a prey animal at the end of the day. Despite its, you know, strength and power, it's still no match for something like a Barioth or Gos Harag and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll get eaten. I won't say commonly, but likely will get eaten just enough to where it's just like, yeah, okay, we know this thing just gets straight up dog walked by a large majority of the characters or a large majority of the monsters in the verse, right? And considering the fact that Lagombi likely does consume a lot of snow as well, meaning that its organs are likely cooled and preserved at the same time, I actually do think Lagombi would likely be a very good meal. Like, I don't think it would be bad to eat, to be honest. I mean, considering I've seen most people just like rotisserie cook rabbits, might just do the same thing to this guy. But I obviously throw some seasoning on it. Hit it with that good old Montreal seasoning. Plus, anything that Tetranodon is trying to eat, I'm trying to see why it's trying to eat it. I mean, you can't be that much of a glutton without any reasons, right? Plus, if every other carnivore is like, yeah, we finna eat this bunny over here, it likely functions the same to a rabbit, in all honesty. Likely has a high breeding rate and likely has a high mortality rate as well, with its belly actually being used to help it escape a large majority of predators. But next monster. At number 3, I have the Seltases. Yeah, desert, regular, and then regular. So both Seltas queens, in my opinion, I think would actually be pretty good. Because again, insects, believe it or not, are actually filled with a lot of protein, considering the fact that, well, they are in some countries considered to be actually very good. Like, I know one, I forgot what country it was, but they have instead of popcorn, they have like grasshoppers with chocolate as a movie delicacy. And believe it or not, some of the bird wyverns prefer to eat them. Now, again, it is theorized that Seltas Queen's main predator is Espinas, a known insectivore, if you will. And believe it or not, these guys are likely are predated upon by other insectivore creatures. And well, considering the fact that chimpanzees will likely eat insects, gorillas, and stuff like that, and in all honesty, I don't see why not. You know, I mean, I mean, in nature, you got to do what you got to do. It's very possible that, we could probably just eat any insect that we come across and somehow just be fine. But obviously, in some cultures and stuff like that, they do cook things like spiders and tarantulas. I think tarantulas in particular, because spiders might be a little bit harder. But, well, harder to cook, I mean, perfectly without sizzling them. It's just, oh gosh, it is what it is. But overall, I do think a very well cooked Seltas queen would be great to actually eat, believe it or not. I'm not sure, because again, it is a mainly carnivorous creature. It will even eat other predators, and very likely will eat a Nerscylla as well, considering the fact that, well, it is possible that Nerscyllas are, the main food source for some of the Seltases in general, which makes sense on why they cloak themselves with the dead bodies or the skinned bodies of their prey animals and stuff like that. But overall, I do think a Seltas and a Seltas queen would probably be a very interesting snack. Plus, I mean, I just kind of I want to try it. This is kind of like my list in general of monsters I would generally eat in general, and so Seltas queen is definitely one of the few monsters I would just love to try. But now on to the final two of this list. Okay, so number 2, I have Gamoth. There is no way I was gonna leave this list without the pachyderm herself. And in all honesty, come on now. Gamoth was definitely gonna be on this list, whether I liked it or not, to be honest, because she is one of the most logical monsters for food, and she will be on the next list, or at least hypothetically will be on the next top 10 list, which would be top 10 most horrifying monsters. And believe it or not, her species is pretty scary in concept as well for her male counterparts. And I will be diving into that in that, top 10 most horrifying monsters, obviously. But Gamoth is just really the woolly mammoth of Monster Hunter. And back in those days, well, Neanderthals or early hominids were known for hunting down mammoths. I mean, we use spears and giant boulders and stuff like that, hurling them from unimaginable heights, and then either driving mammoths back till they fell off cliffs and stuff, and then we would open them up and cook fires in them. Not sure if Monster Hunter even had a caveman time period, but if they did, it would actually be pretty interesting to, well, see how these guys fared, in my opinion. How these early cavemen and stuff likely would have tried to hunt Gamoth. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they hunted smaller monsters and stuff like that. Or maybe the Wyvernians were just that much of intelligent, or that intelligent to the point where they didn't bother hunting these idiotic monsters. So, or these gigantic monsters, excuse me, and they weren't idiotic enough to hunt them. But overall, I do think that Gamoth does belong on this list. We used to hunt woolly mammoths back then, and Gamoth is simply a mammoth times 10, or times 100, or times 1,000 if you really think about it. Plus, the fact that her species is still doing well, I mean, even in, old world continuities and stuff like that, she is doing well. And again, come on now, Wilds, bring her back already, or give her a subspecies that could dominate the Windward Plains or the Scarlet Forest, and then boom, we got ourselves a new Gamoth subspecies. We would love it. Come on now, please bring her back. But overall, yes, Gamoth does deserve to be on this list. She is one of the few kaiju, one of the few monsters in Monster Hunter I would generally want to know what she... Okay, I'm realizing how this is going to sound. Yes, I do wonder what she tastes like. And, well, believe it or not, yeah, she is one of the few monsters I do think is pretty tasty. I mean, Tigrex goes out of its way to eat her children, and has a unique fascination for, like,
mammals and stuff like that. So if he's kind of like semi-obsessed with eating them, I do wonder how, you know, the Gamoth lineage would taste. But now, the final monster. And finally, we have Diablos. Yeah, I've always wanted to eat Diablos. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was personal because the first time I fought him and he straight up, you know, demolished me for no reason except, well, I mean, he kind of had a reason. I was trying to kill him, but that's besides the point. But believe it or not, I do think Diablos is probably one of the few best monsters that I would definitely love to eat because of its diet. It strictly eats cactus, or may indulge in like other things like carnivory, or, you know, subsidize itself with some invertebrates. Maybe even eat other creatures like Baroth or Anjanath if it just kills them. It's like, you know what? Meat's on the menu today. But believe it or not, Diablos itself is eating a very good amount of cacti. And, well, this is actually pretty important because cactuses actually contain high levels of calories, including things like vitamin D and I think magnesium as well. So, believe it or not, Diablos is one of the few best creatures to eat. So I guess that's why Devil Joe might go down and probably thinking like, you know what? I think that this cactus eater right here is going to be very great for me, you know. Now, obviously, I think cooking it is probably going to be some difficulty with it. You may have to obviously remove the armor and stuff, but then again, the armor might add a little bit more flavor, considering it is pretty much adding one of the most water nutrient plants to its system, so it may even mean that its keratin or bones are pretty healthy as well, meaning its bone marrow would also be pretty good to eat. So Diablos is just kind of making it worse for himself now, is it? Now, believe it or not, I also think the fact that Diablos also would have probably a decent reserve level and probably some of the healthiest meat in the herbivore community other than Bombbro. But believe it or not, I do think Diablos is one of the few monsters I would generally love to eat. And believe it or not, I think this is where, matter of fact, yeah, this is where we wrap up the video. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends, and let me know down below on what monsters you would love to eat. Because me personally, I would love to eat all these monsters. But again, these are my top 10 delicious monsters, also including the honorable mentions like Jade Baroth, the Leviathans, sorry, not the Leviathans. Well, I mean, Leviathans are on this list, obviously. But yeah, Gobel and the, what you call it, the Piscean Wyverns and the Bird Wyverns, obviously, including the Raptorial ones. But that's going to be all today. Comment, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I'll see you guys later for the next video. Peace.